For various reasons, there were some trucks that I initially believed were not that good and I didn't use them very often. But after a while I gave them a shot and I realized I was wrong and those trucks are in fact good. But what are those trucks? Well, the first one is a Step 310E. Now, why I didn't use this truck at first? I have no idea. I just looked at it and I was like, maybe this truck is not that good. But then I was making this video on using the high range gearbox on some trucks. I saw a Step 310E and I was like, this truck could be a good choice actually for the high range gearbox. So I started using this truck to see how it is. And I was genuinely impressed how good this truck is. It doesn't look that good or it doesn't have like the biggest tires, but it actually performs so good. And with high range gearbox, you can just put it in high gear and enjoy your trip. You don't need to be worried about the truck keep changing gears and things like that. You go at a very decent and good speed. And the truck is a bit small, so it allows you to drive on narrow roads easier and it has good stability too. I think a Step 310E is a good truck to use in bigger regions because it's very fast, so you can get to the other side of the map very quick. And on dirt and shallow mud, you can drive very fast with the high range gearbox. So now I think this is one of the best trucks to make quick deliveries. The small fuel tank could be a bit of a problem, so you have to pay attention to your fuel. But other than that, this is actually a very good truck. I don't know why I didn't use it at first. Alright, the next truck is Freightliner 114ST. And I exactly remember why I didn't use this truck at first. And I was wrong, let me tell you that. So at first, between the two trucks that I could purchase, International Paystar 5070 and this truck, I went for Paystar 5070, and the only reason I went for that truck was the mud tires. At that time, I was always looking for mud tires. I thought mud tires are like everything. And since I bought Paystar 5070, I didn't have enough money for Freightliner, and later on in the game I just completely forgot about this truck. Until at some point I was bored with the trucks that I was using and I was like, wait a minute, I haven't used this Freightliner truck at all, so let's give it a shot. And it was actually very good. One of the advantages of this truck is out of the early trucks that you can purchase or find around the map, this one has a bigger fuel tank compared to those trucks. So you don't always need to be worried about running out of fuel with this truck. Unlike Paystar 5070, which is a bit fuel thirsty and has a smaller fuel tank. So if I start playing a SnowRunner again, I definitely would buy this truck. It's a very good truck to use early in the game. It's a big help. Alright, the next truck is Derry Longhorn 4520. I think at first most of the people didn't use this truck because this truck had a very weak engine. But in Season 6, a new engine was added for this truck. But at that point, I just completely forgot about this Derry Longhorn and I always thought it doesn't have enough power to do anything. Until Season 9, where I started to use this truck for delivering water. And it was actually good. The new engine, I feel like, gives this truck enough power to make the truck usable and good. I still don't use this truck for those really big trailers, the ones that require saddle high, but for trailers that require saddle low, it's a very good choice. This truck has actually a couple of good advantages too. The turning radius of this truck is amazing. I completed a challenge where I delivered this big trailer and I was just going in reverse, and this truck was the one that I used because the maneuverability of this truck is really amazing. And this truck has a big fuel tank, and when you turn off the all-wheel drive, the power would still go to the 3 rear axles, so you don't even need the all-wheel drive all the time. You can just have the all-wheel drive off most of the times to save even more fuel. The only thing about this truck that I don't like is you cannot have a crane on this truck with the saddle low. If you could have a crane on this truck, that would have been so nice. Alright, the next truck is Mack Defense. And I exactly remember why I didn't use this truck that much at first, but I'm such a big fan of this truck now. At first when I started using this truck, I kept comparing it to Kenworth 963, and that truck is a big monster. That truck is really capable, and that was such a big mistake comparing these two trucks. And because Mac Defense wasn't as good as Kenworth, I thought it's just not that good of a truck. But one season after that, I started using Mac Defense and I loved it. The handling and the suspension of this truck is very good. It has good stability, it has so many add-ons, and it's one of those trucks that can do anything. That's something that I really like about it. Right now I like Mac Defense more than Voron trucks or Azov 64131 and all those type of trucks. Mac Defense is genuinely a good truck and a fun truck to drive. The next truck is Cat CT681. Why I didn't use that truck at first? Well, there are a couple of reasons. First, I wasn't a big fan of Cat CT680, and I thought it's basically the same thing, so I didn't use it that much. The other reason is the dead axle. I'm not a big fan of dead axles too, so again another reason that I thought this truck is not that good. And the last reason is just the existence of International HX 520. I really liked that truck, and that was the truck from that DLC that I just kept using and ignored Cat CT681. Now, truth be told, I don't exactly remember when I started using this truck, but after using this truck for a while, I realized it's not that bad. It has a very powerful engine, which is really good, and it's decent in harsh terrain. That dead axle could sometimes be a bit of a problem, but it's not that big of a deal. Something that I don't like about Cat CT681 is the ground clearance. This truck doesn't have that much ground clearance, and International HX 520 is the same too. I think that truck doesn't have enough ground clearance either. I think a raised suspension upgrade for these two trucks would be very nice, but even right now they are good. Cat CT681 is a decent truck to use. And the last truck that I overlooked is Zeek's 566A. The reason I didn't use this truck at first is, first, I'm not a big fan of these kind of small trucks. The only small truck that I like is a Step Crocodile. I always thought that's the only small truck that is good. And the second reason is, in the season that this truck was released, Dairy Special was released too, so I just ignored Zeek's 566A. Until I was reading some comments and I saw someone talking about how good Zeek's 566A is, and I was like, alright, let's give it a try. And it was actually so good. This truck and the Step Crocodile are like my favorite small trucks and are the only small trucks that I use in a SnowRunner now. And something that I like about Zeek's 566A is the fire tank add-on has the same capacity as normal trucks. So if I want to deliver some water to some place, there is a high chance that I'm using Zeek's 566A. And the performance of this truck is really good too. It does a good job in like deep mud or things like that. The only thing that I don't really like about Zeek's 566A is the handling of this truck is not that good. Turning with this truck feels a bit slow, but playing in first person view helps me a lot with controlling this truck. Just seeing the steering wheel allows me to control this truck way easier. And that's it for today's video. I'll see you in the next one.